Good morning. Snow is melting outside, so tomorrow I should be doing yard work. Today though, let's go through another update on what's growing inside. This is the cherry tree. So I got the one Romeo cherry, he's coming along nicely. I got two sprouts here started. I'm going to show you about them maybe in the next video or the video afterwards. I've taken all the old organic material that was starting to grow in these buckets out. I have this prepared now for when I need to bring up some more plants and put in here. So much for the kale just sitting there and waiting for me to plant it out, eh? It's gone up the flower. So it got warm in here and they bolted. The leaves, they're still really small. Don't know if I'll plant them out because they're already, like I said, flowering. So the chocolate pepper that's here is still coming along nicely, and the hot pepper is growing. As you can see, it's still quite small. These, they're growing somewhat. Now I've taken all of this up here from downstairs, so when I'm starting the plants downstairs, I have somewhere to put them, right? So here's all my Osage orange that already has their first true set of leaves. There's one back there that's coming along really nicely. You see those? And the oregano. I'm going to have beautiful oregano plants. These two lavender. I was out, and like I said, snow was melting, and I found some plants, and they looked like savory, and I'm like, are they savory? So I ended up having to smell them and taste them. That was lavender. The lavender outside is coming back nicely. It's not actually much bigger than this. I have two lovage plants that are growing nicely. Now I have a couple more downstairs, but these are the ones that are doing better. I took the onions that were in cups and brought up here. This is winter savory, beautiful plant. Brussels sprouts. I don't know what happened with this one in here. He was growing at the green gauge back there, and somehow the temperature dropped and he shocked and lost its leaves. But now this one, in front of him, he seems to be doing just fine. He was kind of, the back one was kind of alive when I brought him up here, and now of course it's colder up here and it went like that again. Maybe I should have left it in the grow room. Oregano. Really happy with these. See, this is the St. John's wort. It's growing beautifully. And then the one back there. Now these parsley, there are some things that I found that won't grow well under the grow lights. And parsley seems to be one of them. I can't remember what the other one was I found out last year. Oh, bronze fennel. That doesn't grow well under grow lights either. Greek oregano, and that's some more winter savory back there. So I guess this guy is gone. He wasn't as healthy in their plant. We'll see if it grows again. It seems like there's something trying to come out right there. The one in my potting mix, he's doing just fine. Of course he's not growing, but he's still quite alive. So that's what the temperature is in the sunroom this morning. That's in degrees Celsius. At the north facing window, the chives are still just going slowly. I haven't been harvesting anything from it. The hot pepper, it's growing nicely. I'm thinking of I'm going to move that now over by the bay window, I think. But the experiment is done. It grew nicely there. As it's gotten warmer and the days have gotten longer, the basil are doing better. So maybe in the summer I might be able to do sweet basil, and over here is mammoth basil. Might be able to do them in a north facing window during the summer because the days are longer. Here is the chocolate pepper, and I have one pepper growing. The other flowers didn't take, it seems. The Tiny Tim tomato, it grew. It's still looking rather anemic, and I have those few tomatoes on it. The aphids, they stay fairly put, but I am having some flies now around. It's getting warmer, those guys, so I'm going to have to put up some of those sticky traps to catch those. The aphids, as I was saying, I can easily control their numbers by just bringing the plant into the bathtub and spraying them off. This is pointing southeast. The sunflower, of course that one's done, and the other blossoms are fading now. It had 4 blossoms in all. The peppers, I think this one is pretty close to the shape it's supposed to be, but they are all misshapen somehow. Not that it matters, because they're still delicious. This is the smallest of the ones here in the bay window. It's in the store-bought potting soil. Rosemary, my understanding is that they are very easy to propagate through cuttings. So I am going to propagate 3 of these at least. You see, these are a zone 7. So I'm going to check to see what the minimum temperature is for a zone 7. If it's a zone 7, I should be able to grow one of these in the sunroom. In which case I might be able to have a fairly big plant in a big planter. That would be nice. Once I get the other new plants growing, I think I'm going to completely harvest this plant and then just start 3 new ones. The sweet marjoram here, you can see this is dying back. It's gone actually fairly. I gotta dry it out some more. But if we go down here, you see this? This is getting super root bound and it's pushing the soil out through the holes, the drain holes in the bucket. So this plant needs to be refreshed. I don't know if I can do that from a cutting or what. That's something that I still have to check into. My Chinese celery is flowering now on some short stalks, which is okay. I'm gonna just leave it there and see how well it does. The winter savory doesn't grow as well here as it grew in the grow room or in the sunroom, but it's coming along. This plant, it was starting to get pulled over with the weight of all of those fruit on it. None of them are starting to ripen yet. And this one has a lot of fruit as well. Now Tiny Tim, what I've noticed is that they put on a full flush of fruit, and when the fruit starts to ripen, they start to fade. Now this one, it hasn't ripened so much. We go over here, I have a lot of ripe fruit and the plant is very faded. The stuff that was completely gone I cut off and just left the more healthy stuff on, and waiting for those tomatoes to finish ripening up now. And there's that summer savory, which seems to be nice and perky here in the south facing window. Once again, lime basil that dies if it doesn't have its perfect conditions. It's a very temperamental plant. Mammoth basil and sweet basil that can handle a little bit of abuse. Now we're back to the grow room. As you can see, I've taken away quite a few of the cups here, so I got some space. I'm just going to go through as my thoughts bring me and tell you each one. This one I think you've seen in the last video down here when I was putting the Osage orange into pots. This one was just barely up, and it came up and the seed shock was still on the leaves. Now it's dry here anyway, and it didn't have enough strength to pull out the leaves out of the shock. Now when you do get that situation, sometimes you can spray that seed shock, keep it moist, and the plant will eventually be able to pull its way out. But here it didn't work, and of course so that's why I lost this Osage orange. Now if I had left this in here until the seed leaves popped out, I probably wouldn't have had that problem, and that plant would have done just fine. That is the only one I think I will lose out of the 30 that I had. Red bell peppers, they're slowly growing. I think this is the best hot pepper I have. Of course the one up in the north facing window is a nice one as well. California Wonder, it's still growing, and it's putting on some flowers here now. Now remember I put this chocolate pepper cutting in here, and it just died. But if you go back here, this is the one that I just shoved down in the soil. That's the California Wonder, and it is increasing in size, so that's growing and seems to going to be live just fine. But that one thing just decided, no, I'm not going to live for you. Now see what I was saying. Now this was the worst of the parsley that I had here anyway, but they were all looking kind of sickly down here, and when I brought them up there to the sunroom, they pricked right up. Here's something else I'm doing. As you know, I thinned these out to 2, and they looking really nice. I harvested some of those for a salad the other day, and those 2 in there. So I took this one, there were still 6 plants in it, and I took one out and put it in here. And I'm thinking that I'll probably have a nice big plant grow there. If so, then I'll have lettuce growing year round. A single plant in each one of those containers. The basil back there is coming. I don't know if it's me being an impatient gardener or what. It seems to be slow. There's another lovage that is starting to come along. The oil slowly drains out of that, so I don't know how well that's going to work. There's another lovage plant down there in the little cup. So I got some broadleaf sage there. Diamond eggplants, I got some that are coming along nicely. This one's got its first true leaf right there. Back up to the top, I'm thinking about now. You see, I got this one Siberian pea shrub here that looks like at some point it's going to start to grow, and it has survived just fine. And here's the other one that I think is going to survive and eventually grow for me. It has a little root coming out the bottom. Maybe I should put it in one of those solo cups. Take this down and put it right here so you can see it better. If I go along like this, maybe you can see all those sprouts that are coming. Most of the sets where I have the tomato set have a plant coming up. Of course, that's a big enough one that I can zoom in on there to give you an idea of what a tomato plant looks like when it's first coming up. And then I have this one here. Now, like I say, you see that seed shuck right on the top. Now, I'll leave it in the humidity dome until that gets out, at least till it gets its seed leaves out and open up. Because otherwise, especially here where I had the fire in and the humidity is so low, that seed shock will dry up and the leaves won't be able to get out. Don't think that eggplant is going to make it. I've got one Osage orange there. Looks like another one is starting to break the soil there. And then the last one has yet to do anything. So up to these two, that will be 28. And if this one comes, that'll be 29. My floor plants are doing just fine. This kale over here, he seems to be growing better than that one there. Not necessarily better, but because I didn't have a good way to position the lights, that this one here, it's kind of lopsided. I've harvested a few leaves since my last video about these, and just sit here and take a leaf and dip it in some Catalina sauce, and it's really beautiful, and work away. This Tiny Tim tomato plant is really nice and stocky and doing very well, probably because of the direct light that I've always had straight over it. It's getting its flush of tomatoes now, but it's just getting its flush of tomatoes, so that you'll see now when the tomatoes gets fully out and starts to ripen, I expect this plant to just start to fade no matter what I do. Peppers, of course, you know, they're perennial. They'll just live as long as you give them their proper conditions. I'll zoom back so you can see the lighting system I got for them now. And that's the video for today, April the 16th, 2020. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.